You have some nerve showing up here, Patricia hissed, her perfectly manicured hand gripping my arm as I tried to enter the church. You abandoned her when she needed you most. I stood frozen at the entrance of St. Michael's Cathedral, where my mother's funeral was about to begin. The morning sun filtered through the stained glass windows, casting colorful shadows that felt mockingly cheerful for such a dark day. My name is Alexandra Winters, and at 35 I was being blocked from my own mother's funeral by the woman who'd spent the last 15 years trying to erase me from her life. Let go of me, Patricia, I said quietly, conscious of the gathering crowd of mourners watching our exchange. I have every right to be here. Right? She laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. You lost that right when you walked away, when you left her to suffer alone. The truth burned in my throat, begging to be shouted. I hadn't walked away. I was driven away, pushed out by Patricia's careful manipulation and lies. But I promised myself I wouldn't cause a scene. Not today, not at Mom's funeral. Is there a problem here? A deep voice cut through the tension. Pastor Michael, who'd known our family for decades, stepped forward from the church doorway. Patricia immediately transformed, her grip loosening as she dabbed at invisible tears with her free hand. Oh, Pastor, I'm just so overwhelmed with grief. And now Alexandra shows up, after all these years of breaking her mother's heart. The whispers started then, exactly as Patricia had intended. I could see the judgmental glances from family friends and relatives who only knew the version of events she fed them over the years. She hasn't visited in 15 years. Didn't even call when Ellen was diagnosed. Such a disgrace. But Pastor Michael's kind eyes held mine steadily. He'd been there 15 years ago, though I doubted even he knew the full story. Alexandra, he said warmly, your mother would want you here. Please come in. I walked past Patricia, head held high despite the weight of disapproving stares. The church smelled of lilies and grief, the scent nearly overwhelming as I made my way down the aisle. My steps echoed in the hushed sanctuary, each one feeling like an accusation. The front pews were filled with Patricia's side of the family, the people who'd taken over my mother's life after she married Patricia's father, James, 12 years ago. They shifted uncomfortably as I passed, some turning away entirely. I took a seat in the back, where I could see my mother's casket surrounded by arrangements of her favorite white roses. A large photo of her stood nearby, one I'd never seen before. In it she was smiling, but it wasn't the bright, infectious smile I remembered from my childhood. This smile seemed dimmer, more resigned. Patricia took her place in the front row, leaning against my stepfather James, who hadn't even acknowledged my presence. She turned slightly, throwing a triumphant glance my way before whispering something to her daughter, Emma, who snickered in response. As Pastor Michael approached the podium, I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. The last time I'd seen Mom was through a hospital window 3 months ago. Patricia had convinced the staff I wasn't on the approved visitors list. By the time I'd sorted it out, Mom had been moved to a different facility. One Patricia refused to disclose. We are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Ellen Winters Crawford, Pastor Michael began, his voice gentle but firm. Before we begin the service, Ellen left something in my care. She was quite insistent that it be shared today. My eyes snapped open as he reached beneath the podium and withdrew a worn leather-bound book. Patricia sat up straighter, her spine stiffening visibly. Her diary, Pastor Michael explained, and these. He lifted a bundle of envelopes held together with a faded blue ribbon. Ellen wrote faithfully for 15 years, and she asked that I read selected passages today. That won't be necessary, Patricia interrupted, half rising from her seat. We should focus on the service. It was Ellen's explicit wish, Pastor Michael said firmly, opening the diary to a marked page, and we are here to honor her wishes. The silence in the church grew heavier as he cleared his throat. But before he could begin reading, Patricia stood up fully, her voice sharp with barely controlled panic. Those are private family matters, she insisted. This isn't appropriate for. Dated September 15, 2008, Pastor Michael read, speaking over her objection. My dearest Alexandra. Patricia sank back into her seat, her face draining of color. In that moment, I understood. She knew what was in those letters. She knew what truths that diary held. My heart pounded as Pastor Michael continued reading, his voice carrying clearly through the hushed church. For 15 years, I'd carried the weight of being the bad daughter, the one who'd supposedly abandoned her mother. But as the first letter unfurled in Pastor Michael's steady voice, I realized that finally, after all these years, the truth was about to come out. The congregation shifted uncomfortably, all eyes now moving between me and Patricia as Pastor Michael turned the page. My stepmother's perfectly composed mask was cracking, and for the first time since I'd arrived, I allowed myself a small smile. Mom had always told me that the truth would come to light eventually. I just never expected it would be here, now in front of everyone who judged me. As Pastor Michael continued reading, I settled back in my seat, ready to hear what my mother had really been writing all those years I was kept away. My dearest Alexandra, Pastor Michael read, his voice echoing through the silent church. Today they told me I couldn't call you. Patricia said it would be best if we had a clean break after the incident. But she doesn't know I'm writing these letters, keeping track of every day I'm forced to be apart from you. I watched as several heads turned toward Patricia, who sat rigid in the front pew, her knuckles white as she gripped her purse. The incident they blame you for was entirely orchestrated. Pastor Michael continued reading. Patricia convinced James that you stole her mother's jewelry during your last visit. I know you didn't. I saw her hide the pieces in Emma's room myself. But when I tried to speak up, Patricia threatened to stop my medical treatments if I defended you. Gasps echoed through the church. Emma, my stepsister, slid down in her seat, her face flushed with guilt. Each day, I watched them systematically erase you from my life. They've removed our family photos, blocked your number from my phone, and intercepted your letters. But they can't erase you from my heart. Pastor Michael paused, reaching for the bundle of envelopes. These letters were written to you, Alexandra, but never sent. Your mother managed to get them to me one by one over the years, asking me to keep them safe until the right moment. He untied the blue ribbon, and dozens of envelopes spilled across the podium. Each one was dated, addressed to me in my mother's familiar handwriting. January 3rd, 2010, he read from another letter. Today was your birthday. Patricia threw a party for Emma instead, claiming it would help me move on. But I sat in my room looking at the only photo of you I have left, the tiny one I keep hidden in my locket. You would be 22 today. I wonder if you still wear your hair long, if you still love photography, if you finished college. Tears streamed down my face now. I had finished college, graduated with honors in photography. I'd sent the photos to Mom's address, but like everything else, they never reached her. March 15th, 2015. Pastor Michael selected another letter. They've moved me to a new house today, further away from our old neighborhood. I overheard Patricia telling James it was necessary because you've been asking neighbors about me. My heart soared knowing you were still trying to find me, still fighting to reach me. Don't give up, my darling girl. I hadn't given up. I'd hired private investigators, contacted police, but Patricia had always been one step ahead, moving Mom from place to place, convincing authorities that I was mentally unstable and pursuing an elderly woman who wanted no contact. Pastor Michael opened the diary to its final pages. This entry is dated just 3 weeks ago, he said softly. I know I don't have much time left. The cancer has spread, and Patricia controls my care completely now. But I've made sure these letters will reveal the truth. My dearest Alexandra, if you're hearing this, know that I never believed their lies. I never stopped loving you, never stopped fighting to reach you. They told me you had abandoned me, but I saw the cards they threw away, the gifts they returned, the calls they blocked. Patricia stood up abruptly. This is slander, she shouted. Ellen was confused near the end, her medication. The silence that followed was deafening. James had his head in his hands, while Emma couldn't meet anyone's eyes. But Patricia was already moving toward the exit, her heels clicking rapidly against the church floor. Mrs. Crawford, Pastor Michael called out, there are police officers waiting outside. Ellen asked me to contact them as well. They'd have some questions about elderly abuse and financial fraud. I stood up, my legs shaky but my voice strong. Patricia. She froze at the door. You couldn't erase me after all. Mom made sure of that. Through my tears, I saw Pastor Michael gathering the letters, handling them with the care they deserved. 15 years of my mother's love, hidden but never lost, finally coming to light. The truth had been worth waiting for. In the weeks following Mom's funeral, everything changed. The police investigation uncovered even more than Mom's letters had revealed. Patricia's carefully constructed web of lies unraveled spectacularly, exposing years of financial exploitation and elderly abuse. I sat in my old childhood home, now returned to my possession, sorting through Mom's belongings. Just as she'd written, the false bottom of her desk drawer contained everything: photographs, recordings, and meticulous notes documenting Patricia's manipulation. "Alex," James' voice came from the doorway, hesitant and heavy with regret. My stepfather had aged decades in the past few weeks, the weight of his willful ignorance finally catching up to him. "Come in," I said, not looking up from the photo album I found, one Patricia hadn't managed to destroy. It was filled with pictures from my childhood, Mom and me smiling, happy, before everything fell apart. "I've been going through Patricia's things," he said, sitting heavily in Mom's reading chair. "Found these in her personal safe." He handed me a stack of cards and letters, all the birthday cards, Christmas wishes, and notes I'd sent Mom over the years. "She kept everything you sent as evidence against you," she said, "but I think she needed to maintain control, to keep proving to herself that she was justified." I took the letters with trembling hands. 15 years of communication that had never reached Mom, yet somehow found their way back to me now. "I was blind," James continued, his voice breaking. "I chose to believe Patricia because it was easier than questioning her. Your mother, Ellen, tried to tell me so many times, but I wouldn't listen." The investigation had revealed that Patricia was now facing criminal charges. Emma, consumed by guilt, had confessed everything about the jewelry incident that had started it all. She'd been 17 then, terrified of her mother, forced to play along with Patricia's schemes. "Emma wanted me to give you this," James said, placing a small jewelry box on the desk. Inside was the necklace that had allegedly been stolen, the catalyst Patricia had used to drive me away. "She's in therapy now, trying to deal with everything." I closed the jewelry box without touching the necklace. Some wounds were still too fresh. A knock at the door interrupted us. It was Pastor Michael, carrying a small package. "I found this in the church office," he said. "Your mother left it there years ago, with instructions to give it to you after the letters were read." Inside was a simple leather-bound photo album. On the first page, Mom had written, "For Alexandra, all the moments I couldn't share with you." As I turned the pages, tears filled my eyes. Mom had documented everything. My graduation day, she'd been there, hidden in the crowd. Art exhibitions of my photography work, even the opening of my studio. She followed my life from afar, collecting newspaper clippings, photographs taken by friends, keeping track of every achievement Patricia had tried to dismiss. "She never gave up on you," Pastor Michael said softly. "Even when she couldn't reach you directly, she found ways to be part of your life." The final page held a recent photo of Mom in her hospital bed, smiling weakly but holding up a small sign. "I knew you'd make me proud." "The trust has been restored to you," James said, standing to leave. "It's not much compared to what was taken, but—" "It was never about the money," I interrupted. "It was about the truth, about Mom knowing I never abandoned her." After they left, I spent hours going through Mom's diary, reading entry after entry of her daily thoughts, her unwavering love, her constant fight against Patricia's control. Each word helped heal a piece of the pain I carried for 15 years. 3 months later, I opened an art gallery dedicated to Mom. The main exhibition featured photographs spanning 15 years, all the moments we'd missed together, alongside the moments she secretly witnessed. Patricia's sentencing was scheduled for the following week, but that felt less important now. Emma came to the opening night, keeping to the edges of the crowd, uncertain of her welcome. I found her staring at a photo of Mom from her college graduation, one I'd sent that had never been received. "She kept every article about your photography," Emma said quietly, "in a secret album under her mattress. I found it once, but I was too scared of Mom to say anything." I looked at my stepsister, seeing not the smirking teenager who'd helped frame me, but a fellow victim of Patricia's manipulation. "Mom wrote about you too," I told her. "She worried about you, living under Patricia's control. She hoped you'd find the strength to break free someday." Emma wiped away tears. "I'm so sorry, Alex, for everything." The final photograph in the exhibition was the one from Mom's hospital room, with her handwritten sign. Below it, I placed her diary, open to her last entry. "Love finds a way to survive, even in the darkest places. Alexandra, you were my light always." And now finally, everyone will know the truth. Standing there, surrounded by 15 years of moments both lost and found, I felt Mom's presence. She'd won in the end. Her letters had exposed the truth, her love had outlasted Patricia's lies, and her story had brought healing not just to me, but to everyone touched by her quiet strength. Some truths take time to come to light, but as Mom always believed, they're worth waiting for.